Hello, welcome to Compelling. I'm Katy Wellesley Wesley. With 18 years of experience in the art world, ranging from senior positions at blue-chip galleries to startups, I'm now a Paris-based consultant to brands, foundations, artists, and collectors. Thank you for joining me to listen to Compelling, a podcast exploring the intersection of art, culture, and luxury. I'll be interviewing visionary artists, cultural leaders, and brand innovators to find out how storytelling, mastery of craft, and collaboration come together to build community, engage audiences, and shape lasting legacies. Compelling offers listeners fresh perspectives on the ideas and aesthetics shaping luxury businesses and culture today. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Camille Miceli, the visionary artistic director at Pucci. Camille's story is anything but conventional. She began her career in PR at Chanel, then moved to Louis Vuitton, initially in communications, then transitioning to more creative roles. From Louis Vuitton, Camille went to lead jewelry and accessories at Christian Dior, before returning to Vuitton as accessories creative director. In 2021, when LVMH fully acquired Pucci, Camille was appointed artistic director. Since her arrival, Camille has been praised for bringing fresh energy to one of Italy's most iconic fashion houses, going back to the archive and reimagining its legendary swirls and prints with new palettes and interpretations. I can't wait to hear about her journey, her current projects, and the future at Pucci. Camille Miceli, thank you very much for coming today to be a guest on Compelling.
Thank you to invite me after that nice dinner where we met.
Exactly, courtesy Yvonne. So thanks, Yvonne. So I start always with guests in the same way, which is really to just set the scene and tell me a little bit about your young years and your background and to see if there was any kind of connection between those years and where you are now or not.
There is. Actually, there is. I was raised in a family that was quite artistic. Mm-hmm. My mother was in fashion, so I was surrounded by clothes all my life, and she was working with very great photographers like Guy Bourdin. Mm-hmm. So I used to go on shooting when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
When there was holidays, so, and like she didn't really know what to do with me. So she was taking me, if she was shooting somewhere, I was going on the holidays with her. So I was kind of like really in that world since I was a kid. And then my father was in art. He was an art publisher. Mm-hmm. So I was like debating myself, is it going to be art? Is it going to be fashion? And then it turns like fashion, because things are happening like this. And there was always been like, they were quite social. They were having lots of dinners at home. So you had like artists like César, Armand. There was this art critic who was amazing called Pierre Estany. It was a time where critics of art were really existing. They had a real power. Mm. Probably today it's not the same. We are not in the same period, the same time. Mm. And there was also Azzedine, Alaïa, who was always often coming, and Guy Bourdin, of course, the photographer. So, I was always surrounding by all that kind of scene. And then there was an art collection. They were going out a lot. They had like kind of a glamorous life, mm-hmm. like dressing up, going out, mm-hmm. having dinners at home, that kind of life that you're like, oh God, that's exactly what I want to have when I'm going to be their age, And and it was, it was the 80s, like mid 80s, and it was kind of like a very glamorous time at the time. So, that's what I remember from my childhood. Mm-hmm. And I remember also one night there was Azzedine at dinner, and I remember telling him, because I used to like look at my mother with those clothes that I found so amazing. Mm-hmm. And when I was 13, he gave me an ensemble, a caleçon, how do you say, a legging with a sweater and a pair of shoes. He gave me a whole outfit.
A whole look.
I was like in heaven.
Of course.
And then I used to tell him, you have to take some vitamins, because I thought he was old, you're a kid, so you think everyone is old, the parents. And I told him, listen, take some vitamins, because I really want you to make my wedding dress. And he did my wedding dress, and that was an amazing time. Amazing moment, I must say. I feel very blessed about that. So, so I was like always in that world. And I did my first internship at Azzedine when I was 16.
16,
Yeah.
wow.
Yes.
And how long were you in his studio?
Oh, not for so long. We lie a bit together. We said, okay, let's say 6 months. It was 2 months. That's the truth. Now, today, I can say the truth. At the time, I wasn't. I can tell the truth now. So, but anyway, it was 2 months that were like 3 years, you know, because I learned so much with him. And I thought that I was going to have this internship with someone that was a friend. But at the end of the day, he was even more hard on me than he would have been on someone else, because he knew me in another context, and he was expecting a lot from me, and he was kind of an educator. He was kind of a father. It was Rue du Parc Royal at the time. You know, I was in the studio. Azzedine never had a big crew, a big team. There were very few people, and at the time, the girl who was taking care of the press was pregnant. So I was a bit helping on that, a bit helping on many things, but he was very hard on me. He was, you don't sit, and you have to put 10 centimeters between each hanger. Okay. No, it's 8 to 10. You know, all that kind of like super precise.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, those kind of things, like on the moment, you're like, oh God, why did I come here? Why did I say I want to do that? And after a little time, then we think about it and you say, okay, oh wow, it's been really amazing, you know. And I remember it was the time when Prince issued Kiss, and there was a boombox on the floor, and at the time we still had tapes. So he was putting on the tape and putting on the music and putting on some high heels and starting to dance. That was so joyful. That was really nice.
Wow.
Ouais, c'était sympathique.
And then I read, unless it was wrong information, that you studied economics.
No, I did study. I did 2 months.
Oh, okay. So
even 3. You know, I was, everyone, my mother especially, was very surprised that I had my baccalaureate like this. So I didn't do any kind of, I didn't start to organize the process of the university. So I had my baccalaureate. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And you know, all the good places were already taken because you had to organize yourself in advance. So the only place that was available was Économie et Gestion at Tolbiac. You know where Tolbiac is? It's in the 13th. I was living in the 8th. And so I basically never went. The only thing I liked about the university is what the architecture is, was very from the 70s, you know. And it was that university that one day was the 1968 La Révolution, and you had all the students that were very engaged, so you could feel that a bit. But I mean, I went there. If I went there 10 times, it was like a miracle. And I didn't really go. And then immediately I did this, because I think that my mother, she said that they called her, but I don't think it was true. I think that she called because she was very close to Marie-Louise de Clermont-Tonnerre, who was the directrice des relations extérieures chez Chanel. And at the time, so the communication, it was called in another way. And I did do a summer internship at Chanel at the perfume before. And so she remembered me and she asked, and so I went there to stick up some press clips. I was supposed to stay 1 month. I locked myself into an office with no windows. And I did stick up all day, to finish early. And I spent the last 10 days in the office, in the press office. And then they asked me if I could stay 1 more month. I stayed 1 more month. And then they proposed me a job.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. You know, I think that's the beauty of life. You know, I think that's what I said like a month ago. I did a conference in New York for Women's Wear Daily. And I was telling, and they said, what's your recommendation for students? And I said, listen, you always have to stay curious and keep your eyes and your ear opens and just like grab the situation. I think, of course, you're lucky. Sometimes you're more lucky. I've been very lucky. I would not say the opposite. But if you're able to, if I would have had the stickers, the press clip glued in a month without having 1 day or 3 days, like not doing anything and just like being ready to have some other activities, maybe it would not have happened, you know. But I thought, okay, let's take this opportunity. Let's do the job quick. This is a place that it's a house I love. At the time, there was Gilles Dufour, who is the uncle of my best friends, who was the director of the studio. Karl, he knew my mother also. So, you know, I felt like, okay, this is kind of like a great opportunity. So let's make all the chance on my side, you know. And I think, yeah,
so there's luck, but you to some extent you create your luck.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yes. Yeah. For sure.
And so when you started out then in the communications
Yeah.
team, did you always think, now I'm looking for the next stepping stone to go in a more creative direction, or you were just happy to be there?
No, I think at the time it was really for me about to learn something. So I was like, I said to them, listen, if I need to grab the needles on the floor, I will. I said, I'm open to any kind of shit job that no one wants to do. So, and the good thing is that as there was Gilles, Karl knew me also. I was also in the studio for the interviews of Karl. I was there for all the fittings. I was taking care of the casting. So I was having different jobs, you know, assisting also the girl that was producing the shows. So I tried to extend and not just like putting myself free and available for people. I'm not someone that have planned my life in the future. I've never thought, okay, I'm going to do that, then that, then that. Not at all. It's not by decision or by whatever. It's just like, I'm done like that, you know. I'm not like, if you're going to tell me what you're going to do in 10 years, maybe today it's better because, you know, you get an age and you think, okay, in 10 years, maybe I want to relax. But even though I won't, I think. But you know what I mean? I mean, at that time, you're 20 years old. I was 17, you know, when I started. So you're so young, like you can't plan. The only thing I knew, I stayed there 8 years almost. And I knew that at one point I had to leave. Because, I mean, the beauty of Chanel, I don't know how it is now, but at the time, people were staying for 20 years. So you didn't have any gap rooms.
No.
So you couldn't...
Hard to move up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the only way to move up is just like to go away and to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then after the creative thing came after, when I entered Louis Vuitton, where I was like responsible for the communication for the ready-to-wear. And in that part of the job, there was also the show production and the show concepts. Coming from Karl, that was like always kind of like creating a packet. He was creating like a whole world, you know, with the collection. You had the collection, you had the space, you had the invitation. Everything was a whole kind of story. So I worked like that with Marc. And also for the first year when I arrived, there was no collection. So there was nothing to communicate about. And it was kind of great because we were there. There was Marc, Robert Duffy, his business partner, Peter Copping, who was the designer with Jane Whitfield. And we were just us. And there was also another guy, Samudra, who didn't stay so long. And then, no, he stayed quite a bit actually. And so we were like, okay, who's going to be the Louis Vuitton woman, you know? It was kind of great for me. Also, I was observing all those conversations. I was observing the way he was working, Marc, the way he was thinking, which was completely different than what I saw before. Because, you know, he's American. And it was very interesting to observe the way he was building up his collection, because he was also building them up in terms of like how it's going to look in the store, do something like coloration things that is more merchandising, marketing kind
commercial.
of.
Yeah.
Not commercial, I would not say so, more strategic.
Okay.
And so that was very interesting. And then, so I was doing that thing of the show and the rest of the communication. And you have to understand that coming from Chanel, where Karl had so much power, he was the king, you know. And so I was taking a lot to protect him. And when I got my child, I came back and I said, listen, Marc, I love the job. I love working with you, for you. But the whole communication, politics and blah, 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 is not for me. You know, maybe I think that when you give birth a woman, you realize many things and you know yourself better. I mean, you know what you don't want. So I went to see him and I said, okay, Marc, let's find a way because me, the rest. And he said, no problem. Marc was so easy. I mean, Marc was like, I mean, I think it's someone quite exceptional in this fashion world, you know, someone that gives you so much freedom, that someone that listens so much to you. And so he said, oh, no problem, darling. Come on, you stay in the studio with me, you do the show, and you're going to be my muse. I said, I feel a bit reductive. You know, it was the time when John had Amanda Harleck as a muse. It was all that time of that trend of muses. And at first I said, I don't want to be like a potiche. But I mean, okay, if I amuse you, okay, I'm good, you know. And so it started like that. And then not so later, he came to me and he asked me to design a piece of earrings. And that's how it started. And I think that to be able to meet someone that has this open-minded, that sees in you that maybe you can explore another territory, that was quite incredible, I must say.
Do you think it's specific to that period of time?
No, I think it's specific to Marc Jacobs.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So you think it could still happen today, but it would need an exceptional,
I think you have to have
director like him.
Yeah, and that's another thing that you know, it's the fact of like looking at people in a different way, I think. And like when I entered Louis Vuitton Second Life, as I say, because I left and I came back.
To Dior,
and I came back.
For the listeners, Dior and then back to Vuitton.
And then back to Louis Vuitton. So I call it Second Life. When I came back for my second life, there was a girl. So I was doing all the accessories, and part of the accessories, there was the belt. And there was this girl, the designer, had an assistant, an intern. I said, well, she doesn't need an intern for doing 3 belts per year. And there was this young girl, Jenny, Korean girl. I don't know. My nose said, okay, maybe this girl, I don't know, the way she was presenting and so on. I thought, oh, maybe that one, there is a value there. So I went to see her and I said, listen, will you work on prints? And she was quite of like, oh, wow, why not? And we did an amazing job together at Louis Vuitton. So she was taking care of all the prints for the scarves. So that was kind of incredible, you know. So, and now she works with me at Pucci.
That was my next question. Where is she now?
She came with me. I took her there. And she does completely other things. I mean, she works on colors of the prints. And she does the Bambino collection, the kids collection. And she does jewelry that she has never done before. And she works on all the lifestyle subjects. And yeah, she's amazing. And I think that, you know, it's thanks also maybe to Marc, like to have someone that has such an open-minded, tells you, okay, maybe I should do the same, you know, and I've been lucky. I haven't done a mistake. But it's the same thing with Simone, my right hand at Pucci. He's entered to taking care of the fabrics. And then I thought, he can do more. This guy is amazing, and he's my right hand. So he does manage also the fabrics and the embroidery. But on top of that, he's with me for all the fittings. He's with me all the time, and he's an incredible support. And he's got many ideas. So I think it's important to, first of all, I think to be surrounded by people that know things, to do things that you don't know, that are better than you. That is for sure.
I think it requires somebody with self-confidence to promote people around them that either are better than they are, or also just to give people the opportunity to really flourish. And that's obviously, I mean, perhaps Marc Jacobs was extraordinary at that, but maybe you are too, because it's
probably I learned from him. Yeah, definitely. That's another thing I've learned from him, you know. And I think that you need to be surrounded by the best people, and don't be afraid, because I'm not that kind of person. I think that, you know, I don't think that. Then after, of course, you feel like the character of the person, the personality is a good person. Okay, they're never going to do you a coup de pute or something like they're going to try to get your job. I don't think they are like this, you know. I think it's important. I feel like I want to be surrounded by the best people. And the best association is to be associated with people that does things that you don't know how to do so well. That's how you win.
This season of Compelling is presented in partnership with Cahiers d'Art, the legendary Paris publisher founded in 1926 at the crossroads of modern and contemporary art. For nearly a century, Cahiers d'Art has collaborated with icons like Picasso, Duchamp, and Calder, and continues today with leading voices such as Ellsworth Kelly, Philip Perrino, Arthur Jaffa, and Rosemary Trockel. Cahiers d'Art is also the home of the legendary Picasso catalogue raisonné, known as the Zervos. This definitive 33-volume record of Picasso's work is one of the most important art publications of the 20th century. At the heart of its programme is La Revue, a landmark publication dedicated to artists shaping the past, present, and future of art. And beyond publishing, Cahiers d'Art is also a gallery on Rue de Dragon in Paris, a space where art, culture, and ideas continue to meet. Discover more at cahierdart.com or experience it yourself in Saint-Germain-des-Prés. We've sort of moved now onto Pucci because this is where you are now.
Yeah.
So my first question, obviously there's a very kind of rich heritage of Pucci and a very distinctive look for the maison.
Yeah.
And yet you found a way to kind of innovate and bring a sort of modernity and a fresh approach to it. How do you approach the archive? How do you decide what to kind of pull out?
Only the prints.
Only the prints.
Only the prints.
So all the cuts are new?
Yeah, all the cuts are new. Alors, attends, let's be specific. I think that, Emilio Pucci is known for his prints. So for me, it was essential to just like work with his print. Then after, you have to understand that it's not like you go to printed mill and just like tell them, okay, let's do the Marmont print and let's print it. No, they don't have any archive. So we need to redraw it. When I arrived, what I've noticed is that all the prints were done with computer. And that's the first thing I've changed into the methods. And I said, listen, guys, we need to redraw them all by hand because I love to say that sentence. Pucci, imperfection is perfection. Why? When you draw yourself, when you draw handily, sometimes you shake, sometimes you push more your pencil, so the thread is thicker or thinner. You know, all those kind of things are from your human side. And that's very important to make the print more lively and more seductive and more, how do you say?
Well, there's the
more
evidence
charming.
Yes, yeah.
So that's the first thing I've started like putting back. Also, the previous creative directors didn't really use his prints, or they were like taking the print and like drawing something else next to it. Me, I'm taking really the right print. Sometimes I blow it up. Sometimes I can show reduce the scale, especially for the bathing suits, because you have a smaller surface. And then we recolor it, depending on the season, So that's the first thing. And then another thing that I took from the archives is in a fabric way. You know, he was doing using a lot of twills, silk twills, you know, like the scarf, because he was playing with scarves. His cuts were, he was doing printing a 90 by 90, you know, the scarf dimension, and then cut it and then place it onto the garment and to create a garment. So that's a methods that we try to do, knowing that today, if you want to do something that doesn't cost too much, you need to work with prints that are like meters, you know, that are not like scarves, because otherwise you place the print and it's like more expensive. Sometimes we do it, absolutely. But mostly we don't. So the silk, the twill, we use a lot. And that's kind of like one of our main thing. And then some jerseys, of course, because he used to work a lot with jersey, which is kind of cool because, you know, a jersey dress, you just like, doesn't take any space in your luggage and doesn't wrinkle.
And I mean, obviously, there's a lot said now about the sustainability of luxury fashion.
Yeah.
How sustainable are the fabrics? Are you thinking about about these things?
Katy, I'm going to be very honest with you. You know, when everyone is speaking about sustainability, as soon as you produce anything, you're not sustainable. First, whatever you produce, if it's a piece of furniture, which is a piece of clothing, today, if we really want to be sustainable, we stop producing. That's it. So as soon as you start to print, you use, even though we print it in a very noble way in Italy and everything, we produce everything in Italy. There's nothing produced outside. We have a small circuit. Then, but as soon as you start to print, you use a lot of water.
Yes.
But what we do is that, first of all, I don't have waste. Why? I do 2 collections per year, edited. If we say, okay, if we cancel 5 garments per season, it's a max. Otherwise, everything that we create is produced. Because we don't do too much. So it's kind of like edited, and it's 2 collections per year, 1 summer, 1 winter. So in that way, we are sustainable, and we produce in Italy. It's made in Italy. So with the savoir-faire of Italy. So in that way, we are.
And the 2 collections a year, that was something that you introduced?
Yeah.
And that was for that reason?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I hate waste. It's something I really dislike. And, I've worked for big companies. I don't want to say that they waste, but they do a lot.
Yeah.
And I think also for a creative person, to do too many collections, you lose creativity. And I had like sometimes where I was suffering by the fact that I was looking at my work and I was thinking, and I was looking at it, and I thought it was not finished. You know, it was not accomplished. It was not done in the proper way. I could have done better. And that is not very nice as a feeling. You think, okay, if I would have had 2 more weeks, it would have been perfect. And you know that coming back to Azzedine, he was maniac and he was a perfectionist. That's why he never had a date of issuing his collection. He was having his collection coming out whenever he wanted, whenever he was ready. And so he could go deep and just like do the thing perfect as he was thinking. So in that sense, I think that just to do 2 collections per year, you have the time to concentrate, you have the time to think, and you have the time to make it well. So that was very important for me. And, we are not a big company, so we don't need that, And it's a question of how you're going to organize your collection, how you're going to divide it, and just like having an entry season weight of clothes, and then having the season and the back season, for a collection. Like, let's speak about a winter. We start to deliver clothes like mid-August or something like that. So we still have a little bit of a summer vibe. Then after, you have a drop that comes beginning of October, so we get into the winter. And then you have November, which is deep winter, and then December, which is more of a festive way, a party way. And like you can start to also you have to understand that our market mainly is in America and in Florida, in Miami and Palm Beach. So high season, Christmas time, it's a warm season for them. So, you resonate also in that way. That's also a Marc Jacobs thing, like of course you're thinking about fashion. Of course you're thinking about doing clothes that are going to appeal, that are going to be something that is going to be different from the others. But at the same time, you need to think about your audience and who is your audience, where they're going to be, etc. So that's also a way you work on your collection.
When you think of your Pucci audience, your
you have American, you have Brazilian, you have European, so it's kind of Europe and America, So, but the beauty of Pucci, which was really my goal from the beginning, is when I did my dossier to present my ideas to the group of how I would see the company, there was also a thing of different generation. I like the community side of it. I like the family side of it. So you're dressing the mother, you're dressing the grandma, you're dressing the girl, you're dressing the kid. I mean, it's kind of like addressing. And also another thing that you create also with that, with your price points. Like you can afford a dress at Pucci that is not too expensive for a young girl, for a 20-year-old girl. Of course, she needs to be a bit with money, that's for sure. We are not talking Zara, no. But, at least it could be affordable,
yes.
Yeah. And another model that I was thinking, that I thought that I put into this company, which is for me very important, is the see now by now. It's like, especially today, we're living this society where we are like so much information, so many images, so many things with the social medias and everything. Like, okay, there is a book that is written by a guy called Paladino, called the generation of the red fish. Because we have a memory of a red fish.
Do red fish have particularly short memories?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's true.
They last not so long.
The competition for our attention is fierce.
So the fact of seeing something
Yeah.
And just like being able to grab it immediately, I think it's the secret.
Yeah.
It's also another secret that works very well for Pucci, especially when you work for a brand that doesn't have such a network, you know? Mm. And that also, we do a lot of business with our Pucci.com.
Mm. And as you say, there's a heavy emphasis on resort wear. Mm-hmm. And there's always somebody from the kind of global elite that is going on holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just, as you say, you see it, you want it, you buy it, done.
Yeah, exactly.
And I suppose now that you're doing the 2 seasons and you have 4 years sort of under your belt, you have a better ability to predict what's going to work well, what's going to sell well. So then you don't have supply-demand issues, or do you?
No, we don't. I mean, we do. I mean, sometimes like when we did the campaign with Naomi, just like for the winter with that gold dress, it went out of stock very quickly. Mm. That probably was not. I mean, I'm not doing the buyings. Come on, I have other things to do. But I knew that gold thing would run out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so evident. It's so immediate, you know. You know when something is like, you know, it's crazy. That place is kind of weird. And it shows also another side. I think that fashion can relate a lot about where we are socially. And that's probably the most interesting part, I think. And when we did the first winter, one of the first out of stock thing was a knitted cape with bright colors, spikes of bright colors. So no print, no clothing. We could not close it. Mm-hmm. And we sold, I don't know how many. So I was like, oh God, wow, what's going on in here? Same thing, you know, I used to do jewelry. And when I was before, you know, in the other places, you had to do some kind of a logo, affordable pieces of jewelry. So I thought, okay, so let's do a small fish necklace. We are at Pucci. It's the logo. Didn't go anywhere. But a big necklace like this that costs 1,500 sold. So, it's kind of good. I love that place for that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you think that, okay, now women wants to be more and more individual. After this globalization of everything where you wanted to look the same, you wanted to have the same painting on the wall as everyone. I think that people, they want to disconnect more and more and to seem to have another personality than not someone else. So in that way, it's kind of like cool.
Yeah, I think I'm struck by that difference actually just between Paris and London now. When I go back to the UK, it feels to me like there are so many people wearing crazy things.
But I think it's always been, no?
Much more eccentric. But yes, but I hadn't realized how accustomed I had become to the kind of Parisian look and, the Parisian good taste salon where there's a kind of creme bouclée sofa. And as you say, there's like, an artwork on the wall and it's kind of reminiscent of one that you saw at somebody's house last week. And it's the same, but you're right.
Yeah.
There's, with Pucci for sure, the kind of the bright colors, the patterns, they're so distinctive. It's not,
exactly.
It's not just a kind of uniform wardrobe thing.
No, not at all.
A little more about our partner. In 2026, Cahiers d'Art celebrates its centennial, 100 years at the heart of modernism. To mark the occasion, Cahiers d'Art will stage a global program, exhibitions at the Musée Picasso in Paris, at the MoMA in New York, and the Guggenheim Collection in Venice, among others. Alongside these, a landmark centennial book and new editions of the historic Revue will honour a century of creativity while opening a new chapter for the future. Discover more at cahierdart.com. I'm interested in your design process. We've talked about it a little bit, about the strategy. But when you actually start and you're looking and you're saying, now what's the next pattern? How do you decide whether you blow it up or whether it shrinks and what to put it on?
Alors, the start of the process, as I was telling you, we start with the prints. That's the main. And that gives also the direction of the mood, And there's always this kind of a 60s, 70s vibe in the collection because I think it relates so much to the DNA of the house.
Yes.
And then we work on the silhouette. Yeah, that's how, I start to brief the team, and then I love to exchange with the team. I love to speak. There is not only, it's a very small team. I only have one designer and one assistant. So it's like kind of small, and then I have the print people, and I have Simone, and I have the girl for the fabrics. So we are all around the table, sitting around the table, and I explain to them, and then we go back, everyone thinks on his side, and then we go back together, we discuss, we look at images, we start to build up like this, and then we go through fabrics, and then we do colors, and then we start working on the silhouette immediately, But, at the end of the day, you work for a house, you have to melt yourself into the DNA. And this house is about a joie de vivre, about a way of living. And he was living very well, Mr. Pucci. He was dressing up his friends. He was traveling everywhere around the world. So saying so, you always keep that kind of different kind of people. And... but always in a glamorous way.
So now you're 4 years in, as we said.
Yeah.
And when you think about what you hope to kind of change, or what you hope people will say about your tenure when they reflect.
When I see people and I'm someone quite shy. If I don't seem to be, I'm very shy. I don't take so well compliments. But when I meet people, the people tell me, oh God, you've been doing an amazing job because you've been renovating and putting back that house into the center. And I think that's probably what I've succeeded the best. I think that probably the guy that started this for me to create a package, the collection, the stores, the communication was Alessandro Michele with Marco Bizzarri when they took Gucci. You know, you were entering a Gucci store and you were like going into Alice Wonderland. And you were looking at his clothes and they were Alice Wonderland. So there was a whole story. And I think that what we succeed in Pucci is to really create not only a garment, but all the storytelling around. And I'm working on that with Al Dente, the advertising agency that is owned by my brother. And that's kind of like, you know, you understand so well, we understand each other so well. So it's kind of an easy thing. The whole thing around and all this emphasizing of this community, this Pucci family, this lifestyle aspect, I think it corresponds very much to who I am. And that's also probably why it works, you know. And it's a whole package.
What are you working on right now?
I'm working on the winter 2026 collection. And at the same time, we're doing a show in April. So I'm working also on that, the two things at the same time, yeah.
And where are you going to present it?
I'm not going to tell you.
Somewhere gorgeous, I'm sure.
Of course.
And are there any particular collections, projects or moments in your career that really sit with you as kind of seminal moments for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the collaboration with Marc were amazing. When we did Steven's brows, it was crazy because Steven was basically at the office every day. And to be surrounded with this guy, I was amazed. And then the Murakami thing was crazy. The show we've done in Tokyo, first time we do a show abroad, was kind of amazing. I was telling about it recently. That was incredible. What else? When we did the Louis Vuitton show with Nicolas Ghesquière in Palm Springs, that was incredible. Also another thing, when at Chanel there was this article that I think I told you about, maybe not. Then when this article came out in the Herald Tribune about the Chanel bag, we are like in 1992 or something like that. I don't remember exactly the date. But anyway, it's Prada booming, it's the no logo time. And there is this article that comes out in the Herald Tribune, and they say the Chanel bag is over. Oh la 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 la! What did they say? Karl went crazy, and he said, "Okay, you know what? Get the advertising page on the Herald Tribune. The day they come out with the critic, you know, you had the critics on the left page, and on the right page you take the advertising page. So we took that. He did a fantastic sketch of the Chanel bag." Chanel always, or something like that. The Chanel bag is always there, or je sais pas quoi. And then he told me, you know what? We're going to make an order of jersey, colorful bags, and you're going to give it to 30 or 40, I don't remember, girls, cute girls that's going to wear those things, like bright colors, like a bright pink, a bright yellow, a bright blah, blah. So the room felt full of those Chanel bags. So, you know, those kind of things, like, are quite insane, you know. And, you know, also on top of everything, without being specific on one thing, I think that period of Chanel, there was so much insouciance. You have to understand that fashion was not the same. It was not an industry at the time. So there was much more fun. We were really, really enjoying it. And like being very light and very instinctive. And that was kind of crazy also. With Marc, we had it also. I did some amazing research trip with Peter and Jane. Like once we went to Memphis, to Elvis, then after we flew to Denver, and then from Denver we drove to Santa Fe. We stopped in Taos and went to Santa Fe. That was an amazing research trip. You know, those things. And I think that probably at Pucci, you know, also like the first show was, wow, very emotional. And also Capri. And I was remembering St. Moritz recently when we did that event in St. Moritz, which was really tiring for me. And what we do with Pucci, and I think that probably it relates into the collection and it relates into how we communicate is we're really enjoying it and we're really having fun, which is kind of amazing. And I think it's important, we are coming only once in this life, in this world. And job is like it takes mostly of your time.
Yeah.
So you have to enjoy it.
This is going to be one of my final questions,
Yeah.
but I asked people what advice you were given at the start of your career and maybe it's the same, what advice you would give. So perhaps this ties into enjoyment of your career.
No, I would give the fact of being passionate, find your passion. I think it's not very easy, but find your passion and just like stay curious and stay open to anything, because maybe you have an idea of something and then life is going to turn differently.
Mm-hmm.
So keep your eyes open and your ears open and try to find your passion.
Mm-hmm.
If you're passionate, time doesn't have the same sense. You can spend 10 hours doing something without seeing
Without feeling like you're working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're not passionate, 2 hours going to seem to be 10 years.
Yeah. No, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
And then have you got a dream future project? Something that is on your radar?
I would love to create a place. So it's completely different. I would love to create a place in the middle of nature where you have an artistic residency, artist residency, where I grow my food because I'm quite hypochondriac. So I'm obsessed by good food. And I think that more and more I want to know where my tomato comes from. And so having this thing where you produce your own food, you have the artistic residence, you have a wellness yoga kind of retreat. And with the artistic thing, you create a community where people are going to exchange, where you can escape from your everyday life, but then after having kind of an exchange where maybe things are going to come out, ideas are going to come out from there. I would love to do that also, yeah. And doing yoga because I'm a yoga addict.
Yeah, well, you told me.
Yeah.
Yoga and sake.
Yeah, sake less and less, but okay.
Occasionally.
It doesn't work together really.
No, not at the same time.
No.
But no, it sounds like you would enjoy
Yeah.
Villa Lena, which was the subject of my very first interview for Compelling, which is exactly that. I'll send the information.
Yeah, I would love.
But you need to go now, Camille.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for being a guest today. Thank you for being so generous with your time, and
You're very welcome.
Really enjoyed hearing all of your stories and inspirations.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I've been overwhelmed by encouragement and positivity since beginning this podcast. If you'd like to support, please share, follow, and subscribe wherever you access your podcasts. It really helps the show to grow. Thank you for listening to Compelling.